The first classification of system is linear and nonlinear systems. Okay, what are linear and nonlinear systems? Assume that we are providing so many inputs to the system, it produces an output. If the same output can be produced by giving different individual inputs one at a time and getting the individual outputs and finally adding all these outputs, then such systems are known as linear systems. So if any system which do not obey this property is known as nonlinear systems. So the study of linear systems is very important in the case of signals and systems. In fact, the linearity of the system is one of the main reasons for approximating different complicated signals and systems into more understandable elementary signal models. Now let us go into the video and watch what is the difference between linear and nonlinear systems.
Linear and non-linear systems. Okay, now let us understand what is meant by a linear system. For that, we are going to conduct an experiment with a linear system. So assume that the system shown here is a linear system. Okay, now I am going to apply some inputs to this system. Let us call them input 1, input 2 and input 3. I am going to apply this input together to the system and I am going to measure the output. Let us assume that I am getting some output for these combined inputs. So let us call this experiment as experiment 1. Now in the second experiment I am doing something different. What is that? I am giving only one input in the first terminal and I am keeping the other inputs 0. That means I am turning off the inputs to the other input terminals. The same system. Now you can see that I am getting an output, that is output 1. So please note that this output 1 is only because of input, because the other inputs are 0. So let us call this as experiment number 2. In another experiment, what I am going to do is that I am going to give input 2 to the second terminal of the system, the same system, and I am keeping all the other inputs 0. And let us say that I am getting an output 2. Now for the last experiment, I am going to give input 3 to the system by keeping all the other inputs 0. And let us assume that I am getting an output 3 in the output of the system. So let us call this experiment experiment number 4. Now if I wanted to call a system a linear system, then this system should obey a particular property. What is that? So that is shown here. So we have given input 1, input 2 and input 3 together to the system and I got an output in the experiment number 1. In the other experiments, I have given individual inputs and I got individual outputs, output 1, output 2 and output 3. Now if I add output 1, output 2 and output 3, okay, then if I get the output of experiment number 1, that is if I add output 1, output 2 and output 3, then if I get output of the first experiment as the sum of the individual experiments equal to the output of the first experiment, that is when we apply inputs together, then we can call this system as a linear system. This is an interesting property. Okay, now let us check an example. Here you can see that two people are pushing the car. Assume that in a first experiment only this person is pushing the car, and let us assume that he is applying some force. So because of that force the car is moving a distance. Let us say it is V1. Okay, and in the second experiment the second person alone is pushing the car. Maybe he is applying some force F2 and the car is moving a distance of V2. Now if both the people together pushing the car and they are applying a force F1 plus F2, and the movement of the car is equal to V1 plus V2, then we can call it as a linear system. That is example of a linear system. So what is the practical example of a linear system? All the electrical circuits which containing resistors, inductors and capacitors are examples of linear systems. For example, if you give a voltage V1 and get some output response, let us say output 1, and then you give a voltage V2 and then you will get some output response, output 2. If you give V1 plus V2 together to the system, if you get the response output as the sum of the outputs, output 1 and output 2, then we can say that this is a linear system. So all these circuits containing resistors, inductors and capacitors are best examples of linear systems. Now, for this property, this particular linearity, the system must obey some rules. Okay, what are they? So assume that we have a system here. In the first experiment, I am giving input x1 to the system and I am getting an output y1. In the second experiment, I am giving an input x2 and I am getting an output y2. If in case in experiment 3, I am adding the inputs x1 and x2 and giving to the system. As a response, if I am getting an output y1 plus y2, so please remember that y1 is the output due to x1 and y2 is the output due to x2. Since I have added the inputs, the output is also added, right? So if this particular property is obeyed by the system, then we can say that the system obeys additivity property. So this particular property is known as additivity property, right? For x1 we are getting a output y1, for x2 we are getting another output y2, and when we apply x1 plus x2, then if I get y1 plus y2 as the output, then we can say that the system obeys the additivity property. So does that mean that a system obeying additivity property is a linear system? No. The answer is not complete. It should obey one more rule. What is that rule? So assume that there is an experiment to the system. I am applying an input x and I am getting an output y. Now in case if I apply an input which is multiplied by k, the input is multiplied by a scalar, maybe this is a complex number, okay, this can be any complex number, and if I am multiplying the input with this k and I am getting an output which is multiplied by the same scalar, which is the same scalar k, the output is also multiplied by the same scalar k, then we can say that the system is obeying a property called homogeneity property, right? So if input is multiplied with a scalar, the output will also be multiplied by the same scalar, right? So this property, if a system is obeying this property, then this property is called as homogeneity property. So we can say that the system is obeying the homogeneity property. And together, right, a system which obey both additivity property and homogeneity property are called linear system. So this is very, very important. A system which obeys both additivity and homogeneity property are called a linear system. So in mathematical terms, this additivity and homogeneity is together called superposition principle. Okay, any system which obey both additivity and homogeneity, we can say that it is obeying the superposition principle, because that is how the superposition principle is defined. Okay, so additivity plus homogeneity is called superposition principle. So how can we conclude? We can conclude that a system which obeys the superposition principle, okay, a system which obeys superposition principle, in turn that means that it is obeying two rules. What are they? Additivity additivity and homogeneity. Okay, so such systems are known as linear systems. So this is the definition of a linear system. Now let us come back to our same system. Here also I am conducting an experiment number 1. Here I am giving the input k1 x1. Okay, so here x1 is the input signal which is multiplied by a constant k1. Since our system is a linear system, I will get an output y1 which will be multiplied by k1 because it is obeying the homogeneity principle, right? Assume that I am giving an input x2 which is multiplied by a scalar k2. So since it is obeying homogeneity principle, I will get an output y2 which is multiplied by the scalar k2. Now if I am giving an input which is the combination of both x1 and x2, that is k1 x1 plus k2 x2, and if I am getting k1 y1 plus k2 y2, then if you observe, you can clearly see that there is additivity because output is added, input is added, and there is homogeneity. Why? Because first input is multiplied with k1 and the second input is multiplied with k2. The same scalars are multiplied in the output also, k1 y1 k2 y2. So we can see that this particular system is obeying both additivity and homogeneity. Okay, so it is obeying both additivity and homogeneity. In turn, it is obeying the superposition principle. It is obeying the superposition principles, hence it is a linear system. So this is the definition. This is the definition and understanding about a linear system. Such systems are known as linear system. Now let us define the linear system formally. What is the definition of a linear system? In a linear system, if the input signal is a combination of several elementary signals, so please note this point. Assume that there is a system, it is a linear system. If the input signal to that system is a combination of several elementary signals, for example, the signal x is equal to combination of x1, x2, x3, x4, like that. It is a combination of many elementary signals. If I am giving like that, then the output signal will be the superposition or weighted sum of the responses of the system to each of these input signals, right? So assume that the system will give y1 or a y1 or a1 y1 as the output to x1 and a2 y2 to the input x2 and a3 y3 as the output to the input x3, so on, right? So what this linear systems definition says, in a linear system, if the input signal is a combination of several elementary signals, then the output signal is a superposition or weighted sum. Okay, so this is a weighted sum of the responses of the system to each of these input signals, right? So it will be the sum of the responses of the system to individual inputs. So if you give individual inputs, you will get individual outputs. If you add the individual inputs, then the output also will be added. That is, in simple sense, that is the definition of a linear system. Why these linear systems are important? These linear systems make the analysis of signals and system very easier. Why? So observe this particular signal x of t. I can express this x of t signal as a linear combination or linear sum of different elementary signals. So let us call these elementary signals x1, x2 up to xm, and it is multiplied by the scalars like a1, a2 up to am, right? So here I am expressing the signal x of t as a sum of elementary signals. Then I can get the output of the signal by simply adding the response of the system to this individual input signals multiplied by the corresponding constants or corresponding scalars, right? I can get the output without giving the combined input. I can simply add the individual output which is multiplied by the same scalar. I will get y of t. That is the basic idea. That is why we are using these linear systems in our study of signals and system. For example, assume that we have a signal which is x of t as shown here. I am going to draw with a blue color. Okay, so this is x of t, right? Now what I can do is that I can approximate this signal using small pulses. I can approximate, for example, this pulse plus area of this pulse plus this pulse plus this pulse, like that. I can keep on adding these small pulses, so that I will almost get the approximation of our signal x of t, right? This is not perfect. You can see that there is some error. We can reduce the error if we are able to reduce the width of delta t. That is, if you are reducing the width of these pulses. Okay, so delta t approaches 0. If you reduce the width of these pulses, you can see that these pulses will almost become impulse signals. So in this particular case, we can approximate our signal x of t using the sum of impulse signals. We can say that it is a sum of some different impulse signals. Now what is the advantage of this? If we know the response of the system, okay, if there is a system S, if we know the response of the system to this impulse signal, okay, if we know the response of the system to the impulse signal, then simply by adding these responses, right, I can know what will be the output y of t for the input x of t, right? So once again I will repeat, if we know the response of a system for impulse signals, we can know the response y of t, because now we have approximated the signal x of t using small impulses, right? So we know the response of these impulses, then simply add the responses in the output, you will get y of t. That is the basic idea. Similarly, we can approximate the same signal x of t. We can approximate the same signal. Here I am drawing with the green color. The same signal, we can approximate the same signal x of t. So this is x of t signal using step signals. See, these are step signals. This is step signal, okay, and another step signal plus another step signal plus another step signal, like this. I can keep on adding step signals and I can get the signal x of t, right? So here I am trying to approximate the signal x of t using different step signals. Here also you can see that there is some small error present. So we can reduce this error if we make delta t very small, that is delta t approaching to 0. Then we can express our signal as a combination of different step signals. Now what is the advantage of this? If we know the response of the system, so we have a system, and if we know the response of the system to the unit step signal, or if we know the response of the system for a step signal, then by simply adding these responses we can predict what is y of t. We can predict the output of the system by adding these individual responses. So that is why we are studying these linear systems, right? These linear systems help us to approximate complicated signals as a sum of basic or elementary signals, and if we know the system's response to these basic elementary signals, we can compute the output for this complex input signal. So that is the advantage of studying these linear systems. So now what is a non-linear system? So we have understood what is a linear system. Now what is a non-linear system? So the definition becomes very simple. Any system which does not obey the superposition principle is called a non-linear system. Any system which does not obey the superposition principle is called non-linear system.
Okay, so now I think you understand the difference between linear and non-linear systems and its importance in signals and systems. Especially, we can approximate complicated complex signals using this linear model, and we can predict what will be the output of that particular signal.